Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin.
The terminal buzzed with morning travelers dragging wheeled bags across polished concrete. Remy Allister checked her watch. 6:47 a.m. Nico's flight boarded in 20 minutes. Daddy, your suitcase sounds empty. June's 6-year-old voice cut through the airport noise. She knocked on the side of Nico's black roller bag with her knuckles. Nico laughed, but the sound came out wrong. Too sharp. Too quick. Just packed light this trip, kiddo. 3 days in Portland. In and out. Remy studied her husband's face. After 12 years together, she knew his tells. The way his left eye twitched when he lied. How his smile never reached his eyes when he was planning something. Right now, both warning signs flashed like emergency lights. Portland's cold this time of year, Remy said. You sure you packed enough? I'm fine. Nico knelt down to June's level. Be good for Mom, okay? I'll bring you back something special. June wrapped her arms around his neck. Over her shoulder, Nico's eyes met Remy's. For just a second, his mask slipped. Something cold and calculating stared back at her. Then he blinked, and the familiar, charming smile returned. Love you both, he said, standing. He kissed Remy's cheek. His lips felt like ice. Love you too. The words came automatically. Remy had stopped meaning them months ago, but saying them kept the peace. Nico grabbed his suitcase handle and walked toward security. The bag rolled to easily behind him. June was right, it sounded hollow. We have to leave. June's whisper was so quiet Remy almost missed it. He's gone. Something's coming. Cold shot down Remy's spine. June had always been perceptive, but this felt different, more urgent. The same instinct that had kept Remy alive during her paramedic years screamed at her to listen. What do you mean, baby? Daddy's not coming back, and something bad is coming for us. June's dark eyes were too serious for a 6-year-old. We need to go. Now. Remy grabbed June's hand. They walked quickly toward the parking garage. Her nursing training kicked in assess, prioritize, act. Trust the gut feeling that had saved lives in ambulances and emergency rooms. I end the car. Remy's hand shook as she started the engine. June buckled herself into her booster seat without being asked. Where are we going, Mom? Home first, then somewhere safe. June nodded like this made perfect sense. Like 6-year-olds ran away from their fathers every day, their house in Queen, and sat quiet and empty. Too quiet. Remy's skin crawled as she unlocked the front door. Something felt wrong, displaced, like someone had searched through their belongings and tried to put everything back exactly where it belonged. Stay close to me, Remy told June. She went straight to their bedroom closet. Behind winter coats and old shoes, a small fireproof safe set bolted to the wall. Remy's fingers flew over the combination, lock, June's birthday, then Nico's. The heavy door swung open, empty, her breath caught. Passports, birth certificates, June's trust fund documents, the deed to the house all gone. But the lock hadn't been forced or broken. Only 2 people knew the combination. Mom. June appeared in the doorway, the computers making beeping sounds. Remy rushed to their home office. The laptop screen showed 3 new email alerts. Bank notifications. Her joint checking account with Nico showed a balance of $47.82. Yesterday, it had been $23,000. Their savings account, $68,000 yesterday, now read 0. Her phone buzzed. A text from her credit card company. Unusual activity detected. Please confirm. Did you apply for 3 new credit lines today totaling $85,000? Remy's hands went numb. She sank into the desk chair and opened her banking app. Transaction after transaction scrolled past. Wire transfers. Cash withdrawals. All authorized with Nico's access codes. June, go pack your backpack. 3 days of clothes. Include your medication. June disappeared upstairs. Remy moved fast. In the kitchen, she pried open the coffee canister where she kept emergency cash-old habit from her paramedic days when she never knew if she'd make it home. $800 in 20s and 50s. She grabbed protein bars, bottled water, June's asthma inhaler. From her dresser drawer, she pulled out a burner phone she'd bought years ago but never used. Paranoia, Nico had called it. Now it felt like survival. June returned with her purple backpack. I packed elephant. She held up her stuffed gray elephant, the one she'd had since she was 2. Good girl. Remy kissed the top of her head. We're going to Aunt Maya's ranch. Remember when we visited last summer? The one with horses. That's right. We're going to stay there for a while. They loaded into Remy's Honda Civic. Remy pulled all the cash advances she could from 3 different ATMs, maxing out her personal cards before Nico could freeze them. Each transaction felt like stealing from her own life. The drive to Yakima took 2 hours. Remy kept checking the rearview mirror, but no one followed them. Just paranoid thoughts and the weight of June's trust in the seat behind her. Maya's property sat on 40 acres of scrubland surrounded by apple orchards. The main house was small but solid with solar panels and a well. Maya had bought it after her divorce, determined to live off-grid. Now Remy understood why. I wondered when you'd show up, Maya said, opening the door before Remy could knock. Her sister looked older, weathered by outdoor work and solitude, but her gray eyes were sharp and alert. How did you? You look like Mom did when Dad was drinking again, like you're running from something that wants to kill you. Maya stepped aside to let them in. What did that bastard do? Inside, Remy pulled out her phone and tablet. Maya watched her remove the batteries and place the devices in a metal box. Faraday cage, Maya explained. Built it myself. No signals in or out. June settled on the couch with Elephant and a coloring book Maya found for her. The adults moved to the kitchen. Nico's gone, Remy said, and he took everything. Maya's coffee was strong and bitter. Remy wrapped her hands around the mug, trying to stop them from shaking. Tell me, Maya said. He cleaned out our accounts, stole our documents, opened credit lines in my name. Remy's voice sounded hollow even to herself. June knew. She warned me at the airport. Smart kid. Smarter than her mom, apparently. The words stung because they were true. Remy had ignored the warning signs for months. Nico's late-night phone calls, his sudden interest in cryptocurrency, the way he'd started asking about her sister's ranch. I need to call him, Remy said. Maya handed her an old landline phone. Untraceable. Remy dialed Nico's cell. It went straight to voicemail after one ring. His cheerful recorded voice made her stomach turn. Hi, you've reached Nico Allister with Northwest Import Solutions. Leave a message and I'll get back to you. She hung up and called his office. Northwest Import Solutions, this is Brenda. Hi, this is Remy Allister. I need to speak with my husband, Nico. A pause. Oh, Mrs. Allister. I'm sorry, but Nico's on leave. Family emergency. HR said you'd approved it. The phone slipped in Remy's sweaty palm. Family emergency? Yes, ma'am. Something about his father-in-law being in the hospital? He'll be out for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer. Remy's father had been dead for 8 years. I see. Thank you. She hung up and stared at Maya. He told his work I approved a leave of absence. For my father's hospital stay. Your dead father. My dead father. Maya poured more coffee. So he's been planning this for weeks. Maybe months. Remy's training kicked in again. Gather information. Assess the situation. Plan the next move. I need to call Lana. Lana Crane was Nico's half-sister from his father's first marriage. They'd barely spoken since the wedding, But Lana had warned Remy about Nico from the beginning. The phone rang 4 times before Lana picked up. Yeah. Lana, it's Remy. Nico's wife. A harsh laugh. Well, well. The princess finally calls. Let me guess your prince turned out to be a frog. He's gone. Took everything and disappeared. About fucking time you figured out. Lana's voice was bitter, but not surprised. I told you at your wedding. That man makes escape plans like other people make grocery lists. What do you mean? Nico's been running cons since he was 16. Fake identities, shell companies, offshore accounts. Our dear father taught him well before the old bastard died. Remy closed her eyes. 12 years of marriage. How had she been so blind? He ever mentioned Colombia to you? Lana continued. No. Why? Because that's where he goes when things get hot. Has a condo in Cartagena under a fake name. Bought it with money he scammed from his first wife. His first wife? Oh, honey, you didn't know about Kelly? Poor girl thought she was his one and only two, until he cleaned out her trust fund and vanished. She killed herself 6 months later. The coffee mug slipped from Remy's fingers and shattered on the kitchen floor. Maya grabbed paper towels without a word. He's done this before, Remy whispered. 3 times that I know of. You're number 4. Well, maybe number 5. Last I heard, he was working on some pharmacy tech in Arizona. Single mom with a sick kid. Easy target. The room spun. Remy gripped the counter to stay upright. Lana, I need to find him. Why? To beg him to come back? To ask for your money? Lana's laugh was sharp as broken glass. Trust me, sweetheart. He's already gone. New name, new identity, new life. You'll never see him again. We'll see about that. Remy hung up. Maya was sweeping up ceramic pieces, but her eyes stayed on her sister's face. You're not going to let this go, Maya said. Would you? No. I'd burn his world down. Maya dumped the broken mug into the trash. What do you need? Remy spread maps across Maya's kitchen table. Laptop printouts showed Nico's travel patterns from the past 2 years. Credit card receipts, hotel loyalty programs, conference attendance records. He's careful, but not perfect, Remy said. Creatures of habit always leave patterns. June sat in the living room, drawing pictures of horses while cartoons played on Maya's old television. Normal kid activities in an abnormal situation. Most of his trips were to the southwest, Remy continued, tracing routes with her finger. Phoenix, Tucson, Flagstaff. Always rented cars from the same company. Always stayed at mid-range hotels. Maya leaned over her shoulder, looking for something specific. Patterns, comfort zones, places he'd feel safe hiding. Remy had learned tracking skills in the army before becoming a paramedic. Following wounded soldiers in hostile territory wasn't that different from hunting a lying husband. She opened Nico's work laptop. He'd left it behind, probably assuming she didn't know his passwords. But Remy had watched him type for 12 years. His fingers always moved the same way. June's name followed by his birth year, the laptop opened to his desktop. Remy clicked through files and folders. Financial spreadsheets. Import documentation. Nothing suspicious. Then she found the shared cloud drive. Son of a bitch, she muttered. What? He's still syncing files to the cloud. Look. Remy pointed at a folder labeled Personal Backup. The modification date was yesterday. She clicked it open. Photos appeared on screen. A red Toyota Camry with Arizona plates. A gas station receipt from Winslow. A rental house with a for rent sign in the yard. He's documenting his new life, Maya said. Probably for insurance claims or identity verification. Remy scrolled through more photos. A pharmacy uniform hanging in a closet. a child's bike in a garage, a woman's hands applying nail polish purple with silver glitter. The pharmacy tech, Remy breathed. The one Lana mentioned. More photos loaded. A driver's license visible on a kitchen counter. The name read Callan Rivers. Address in Winslow, Arizona. Remy grabbed her notebook and wrote down everything. License number, address, partial view of a phone number written on a grocery list. You're going after him, Maya said. Damn right I am. What about June? Remy looked at her daughter, still coloring peacefully. June had trusted her instincts at the airport. Now Remy had to trust her own. She comes with me. We do this together. Maya nodded slowly. You'll need supplies. Cash. A clean car. Can you help? I've got a truck that's not registered in my name. Bought it from a neighbor with cash 2 years ago. And I can spare another $1,000. Remy hugged her sister. Thank you. Just promise me something, Maya said. When you find him, make it hurt. That evening, Remy sat June down for a serious conversation. They were alone on Maya's front porch, watching the sun set over the mountains. June, we're going on a trip tomorrow. A special kind of trip. To find Daddy. Yes, but this trip has rules. Important ones. June put down her coloring book and gave Remy her full attention. No photos. No phones. No telling anyone our real names. Can you do that? What names will we use? Remy had been thinking about this. You'll be Emma. I'll be Rachel. We're mom and daughter on vacation. What if someone asks about Daddy? We say he's at work in Seattle, that he couldn't come with us. June nodded solemnly. Because we're hiding from him. That's right, baby. We're hiding from him. Good, June said, and went back to coloring. The next morning, they loaded Maya's pickup truck. It was a 10-year-old Ford with primer spots and a dented tailgate, but the engine ran smooth and the tires were good. Stay in touch, Maya said, handing Remy a prepaid cell phone. Text me every day. If I don't hear from you for 48 hours, I'm calling the police. We'll be careful. No, you'll be smart. There's a difference. Remy drove south toward Arizona with June asleep in the passenger seat. The truck's radio picked up country stations and talk radio. She listened to the news, wondering if anyone was looking for them yet. If Nico had reported them missing, probably not. Missing people drew attention. Police asked questions. Better to let his wife and daughter disappear quietly while he started his new life. The miles passed. Desert replaced farmland. Sagebrush and red rocks stretched to the horizon. June woke up as they crossed into Arizona. Are we almost there, Mom? Getting close, Emma. June smiled at the fake name, like they were playing a game instead of hunting the man who'd stolen their lives. Winslow, Arizona was a small town trying to survive on Route 66 tourism and railway traffic. Remy found the address from the cloud photos, a single-story rental house on a quiet street lined with older homes and drought-resistant landscaping. The red Toyota Camry sat in the driveway. That's Daddy's car, June whispered. No, Emma, that's a stranger's car. Remember. Remy parked 3 blocks away and walked back. The house looked ordinary. Cheap rental with beige siding and a small front yard. Nothing suspicious except for the man who lived there. Through the front window, she saw movement. A woman with dark hair pulled into a ponytail. She wore Scrub's pharmacy tech uniform, just like in the photos. Then Nico appeared. He kissed the woman's cheek and handed her a cup of coffee. Casual, domestic, like he'd been doing it for years, that Remy's hands clenched into fists. While she'd been changing June's diapers and working double shifts to pay their mortgage, Nico had been playing house with another woman that a child ran into the kitchen. A boy about 5 years old with curly dark hair and a birthmark on his left cheek. The same birthmark June had in the exact same spot that Remy's world tilted. The boy looked like June, looked like Nico, Same eyes, same smile, same way of tilting his head when he was thinking. Nico had another child. She watched for 20 minutes. The woman Callan, according to the driver's license, got ready for work, while Nico made breakfast for the boy. They moved around each other like a real family, like people who belonged together. When Callan left for work, Remy followed her to the pharmacy 2 miles away. She waited until lunch break, then approached. "Excuse me," Remy said. "Are you Callan Rivers?" The woman turned. Up close, she was pretty in a tired way. Dark circles under brown eyes. The kind of exhaustion that came from working too hard and worrying too much. "Do I know you?" "My name is Rachel. I need to talk to you about Nick." Callan's face went pale. "What about him?" "Can we sit down? This is going to be hard to hear." They found a picnic table behind the pharmacy. Callan kept checking her watch. Limited lunch break. Bills to pay. Responsibilities waiting. "Nick isn't who you think he is," Remy began. "Look, lady, I don't know what kind of game you're playing. His real name is Nico Allister. He's married. Has been for 12 years. Remy pulled out her phone and showed a photo of her and Nico on their wedding day. He has a 6-year-old daughter named June. Callan stared at the photo. Her hands started shaking. "That's impossible. Nick's divorced. His ex-wife moved to Canada with his daughter. He hasn't seen her in 2 years. He's been lying to both of us." Remy showed more photos. Nico and June at Christmas. The 3 of them at Pike Place Market. Recent photos from just last month. "Oh God." Callan covered her mouth. "Oh God, oh God." "How long have you been together?" 2 years. He said he was starting over. Fresh beginning after a bad divorce. Tears ran down Callan's cheeks. "Beau thinks Nick is going to marry me. He calls him Daddy. Beau." The little boy with Nico's eyes and June's birthmark. "Callan, I need to ask you something. Is Beau Nick's biological son?" Callan nodded miserably. "We didn't plan it. I was on birth control, but it failed. Nick said he was happy about the baby. Said he wanted to be a real father this time." "How old is Beau?" 5. He'll be 6 in September. Remy did the math. Nico had been cheating when June was barely a year old. While Remy was dealing with postpartum depression and night feedings, he'd been starting a second family. "There's more," Remy said gently. "Yesterday, Nick cleaned out our bank accounts and disappeared. He stole our passports and legal documents. I think he was planning to run away with you and Beau." "That's crazy. Nick wouldn't." Callan stopped. Her face went through several expressions as pieces clicked into place. "He asked me to apply for expedited passports last month for me and Beau. Said he wanted to take us on a surprise vacation to Colombia." Callan's eyes widened. "How did you know that?" "Because he's done this before. Other women, other families. He's a professional con man." They sat in silence. Callan cried quietly while Remy watched the pharmacy parking lot. Normal people going about their normal lives while hers fell apart. "I have to ask," Remy said. "How much money has he taken from you?" "Everything. My savings, Beau's college fund, even the money I was putting aside for his surgery." Callan wiped her eyes. "Beau has a heart murmur. He needs an operation, but insurance only covers part of it. I've been saving for 3 years." "How much?" 18,000. Every extra penny for 3 years. Callan's voice broke. "Nick said he'd help pay for it. Said he had money from his import business." Remy felt sick. Stealing from his wife was bad enough, but taking money meant for a child's medical care crossed every line. "Where is he now?" "Home with Beau. He's been working from his laptop all week. Something about liquidating investments." "Callan, listen to me. Nico is planning to disappear. Probably in the next few days. He'll take your passport money and Beau's surgery fund and vanish. You'll never see him again. But he loves us, he said. He said the same things to me, and to the women before me. Remy leaned forward. One of his previous wives killed herself after he left her broke and alone. Do you want to be next? Callan stared at her hands. What do I do? Help me stop him. They met that evening at a diner outside town. Callan had left Beau with her neighbor, telling him Mommy had to work late. The fewer people who knew about their conversation, the better. I've been thinking, Callan said, stirring sugar into her coffee, about all the weird things that make sense now. Like what? The phone calls he takes outside, the way he never wants me to answer his cell, how he pays for everything in cash. Callan's voice was steady now, anger replacing shock. And the safe. What safe? He bought a fireproof safe last month. Keeps it in the bedroom closet. Says it's for important documents. But he won't tell me the combination. Remy's pulse quickened. That's where he's keeping the stolen documents. And probably cash. There's something else. This morning, I caught him on a video call with someone. Foreign accent, maybe South American. They were talking about exchange rates and wire transfers. He's moving money offshore, getting ready to run. Callan nodded. The man on the call said something about cold storage and crypto wallets. I didn't understand it, but Nick got excited. Cryptocurrency. Harder to trace than regular bank transfers. Remy had learned about digital currency during her nursing, training drug dealers and human traffickers, used it to hide money flows. So what's the plan? Callan asked. Remy had been thinking about this all day. Nico was smart, but he had weaknesses. He was arrogant. He thought women were too emotional to be effective opponents. And he couldn't resist a big score. We need help, Remy said. Someone who knows how to beat cons at their own game. You have someone in mind. His sister. She's the one who warned me about him in the first place. Remy called Lana from the diner's payphone. The conversation was brief, but productive. She's in, Remy reported. Says she's been waiting years for a chance to screw Nico over. What's her plan? She's going to offer him a deal he can't refuse. A fake buyer in Austin, Texas. Someone willing to pay above market rate for untraceable cryptocurrency. Callan frowned. Why would he believe her? They hate each other. Because Lana's going to offer him $1.2 million. For a man planning to disappear forever, that's enough money to live like a king in South America. And the catch? The buyer wants to meet in person. Cash deal. No electronic transfers. Nico will have to bring his crypto wallets and access codes. So we'll be there waiting. Exactly. They spent the next hour planning details. Callan would act normal around Nico, maybe even seem more loving. Make him think everything was fine while secretly gathering intelligence. I need to know his travel plans, Remy said. When he's leaving, what route he's taking, how much cash he has access to. What about the safe combination? If you can get it, great. But don't take risks. We only get one shot at this. Callan stirred her coffee again, thinking. There's someone else who could help. My ex-boyfriend Danny. He's military, stationed at Fort Hood. He owes me a favor. What kind of favor? The kind where I didn't press charges when he put his hands on me. Callan's voice was flat. But he's good at finding people and making them disappear. Legally, I mean. He works in military intelligence. Remy considered this. They needed all the help they could get. Call him, she said. 2 days later, everything was in motion. Lana had contacted Nico through an encrypted messaging app, claiming she had a buyer for his cryptocurrency. The Mark was a wealthy rancher in Austin who wanted to diversify into digital assets but didn't trust banks or brokers. He'll want to meet you personally, Lana had told Nico. Cash deal, very discreet. But the money's real. Nico took the bait. Of course he did. In his mind, he was the smartest person in any room. The idea that 3 women might outsmart him never occurred to him. Callan reported back that evening. He's leaving tomorrow morning. Driving to Austin with me and Beau. He says it's our last trip before we disappear to Colombia. Did you get the safe combination? Better. I got photos of everything inside. Callan showed Remy her phone. Pictures of passports, birth certificates, bank statements, and stacks of cash. He has almost $80,000 in cash. And there's something else. The last photo showed a notebook filled with Nico's handwriting. Names, dates, account numbers. A master list of his various identities and financial accounts. That's his insurance policy, Remy realized. Everything he needs to disappear forever. Not anymore, Callan said grimly at Austin's hill country, stretched out like a promise of freedom. Remy drove Maya's pickup truck through winding roads, lined with live oak trees and limestone cliffs. June, still playing Emma, slept in the passenger seat with Elephant clutched in her arms. Danny Croft had suggested meeting at his friend's ranch outside the city. Denny, he'd said, war veteran who owed Remy his life after she'd treated his son for free during a medical crisis. He's got a place where no one asks questions. The ranch sat on 200 acres of scrubland and cattle pasture. The main house was old but well-maintained, with a wraparound porch and metal roof. Denny met them at the gate, a lean man in his 50s with gray hair and careful eyes. "Danny told me you were coming," he said. "Says you need a safe place to conduct some business." Something like that. Denny studied June, who was awake now and looking around with curiosity. "Kid stays in the house. Whatever you're planning, she doesn't need to see it." Agreed. Inside, the house was comfortable in a masculine way. Leather furniture, hunting rifles mounted on walls, photographs of military units and ranch life. June immediately gravitated toward a sleeping German shepherd by the fireplace. "That's Rex," Denny said. "He's friendly with kids." Lana arrived an hour later, driving a rented sedan. She looked older than her voice suggested, with prematurely gray hair and the hard expression of someone who'd seen too much disappointment. "So you're the latest wife," she said, looking Remy up and down. "You're prettier than the others. And smarter, I hope." "Smart enough to track him down." "We'll see." Lana opened a laptop bag and pulled out equipment. "Callan should be here with our boy in about 2 hours. You ready for this?" Remy thought about the empty bank accounts, the stolen documents, the sick child who needed surgery money that Nico had taken. "I've been ready for months." They spent the time preparing. Lana set up recording equipment and hidden cameras. Denny showed them the barn where the confrontation would take place, isolated, soundproof, with only one exit. "You sure you want to do this yourself?" Denny asked Remy. "I could handle the interrogation part." "No, this is personal." Denny nodded approvingly. "Just remember, once you start down this road, you can't go back. Whatever happens out there changes you." "Good," Remy said. "I want to be changed." Callan's car appeared at 3 p.m. exactly. She'd driven straight from Winslow with Nico and Beau, playing the loving girlfriend while knowing every mile brought them closer to justice. Nico got out of the passenger seat, stretching and looking around. He wore expensive jeans and a polo shirt, trying to look like a successful businessman instead of a thief. His confidence radiated from every gesture. "Nice place," he told Lana. "Your buyer has good taste in meeting spots." "He values privacy," Lana replied. "As do you, I'm sure." Beau ran toward the house, excited by the open space and the dog he could see through the windows. Callan followed, her face carefully neutral. "The buyer's in the barn," Lana said. "He's examining the sample crypto wallets I brought. Wants to verify authenticity before we discuss the main transaction." Nico smiled, the expression that had fooled Remy for 12 years. "Lead the way, sister." They walked toward the barn. Nico carried a metal briefcase, his crypto wallets and access codes, the keys to stolen wealth from multiple victims. I in the house. Remy watched through Denny's security cameras. June sat on the floor playing with Rex, while Beau explored the living room with the fascination of a child seeing new things. "That's my half-brother," June said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. She was petting Rex, but watching Beau with serious eyes. "What did you say, baby?" Remy asked. "He looks like me. Same birthmark, same hair. Daddy made another family." June's voice was matter-of-fact, like she was discussing the weather. "That's why we had to leave." Callan knelt down beside June. "You're very smart." "I know. Mom says I get it from her side." The barn was dim and cool, lit by hanging fluorescent fixtures. Hay bales were stacked along the walls, and farm equipment sat covered in tarps. In the center, a folding table held Lana's laptop and recording equipment. "Where's the buyer?" Nico asked, looking around. "He'll be here," Lana said. "Had to take a call. You know how rich people are about their phones." Nico set his briefcase on the table. "Mind if I look at the sample wallets while we wait?" "Go ahead, but don't touch anything. He's very particular about security." While Nico examined the fake crypto setup, Lana texted Remy. "He's distracted. Come now." Remy entered through the back door of the barn. For a moment, she just watched her husband. 12 years of marriage, and she'd never really seen him clearly. The charm, the confidence, the way he dominated any room he entered, all of it was performance. Underneath was something cold and calculating and fundamentally hollow. "Hello, Nico." He spun around, his face cycling through shock, fear, and anger before settling on the familiar smile. "Remy, what are you doing here? Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine. Better than fine, actually." "I don't understand. Where's June?" "June is safe, unlike your other victims." The smile faltered. "What other victims?" "Remy, you're not making sense." "Kelly Morrison. She killed herself after you stole her trust fund." Remy stepped closer. "Callan Rivers, the pharmacy tech whose son needs heart surgery. How much did you steal from her, Nico?" $18,000. Money meant to save a child's life." Nico's mask slipped completely. The cold calculation she'd glimpsed at the airport stared back at her. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know you cleaned out our accounts, stole our documents, opened credit lines in my name." Remy pulled out her phone and started recording. "I know about your fake business trip, your leave of absence for my dead father's hospital stay." "Remy, listen. I know about Beau, your 5-year-old son with Callan, the son you were planning to take to Colombia after you disappeared with everything you could steal." Nico straightened, his salesman posture returning. "Okay, you're upset. I understand. But this isn't what you think. I was protecting you and June." "From what?" "From people I owe money to. Dangerous people. I had to liquidate assets quickly and get you both somewhere safe." Remy almost laughed. Even caught red-handed, he was still lying. Still thinking he could talk his way out of anything. "Where are our passports, Nico?" "Hidden somewhere safe, until the heat dies down." "And the bank accounts?" "Moved to secure holdings. I'll give you access once." "Stop." Remy held up her hand. "Just stop. I know about your other identities, your offshore accounts, the Columbia condo you bought with Kelly Morrison's money." Nico glanced around the barn, finally noticing Lana's recording equipment, the cameras, the fact that he was trapped. "You set me up," he said. "We set you up," Remy corrected. "Me, Lana, and Callan. 3 women you thought were too stupid to figure out your game. Callan's in on this." For the first time, Nico looked genuinely shaken. "But she loves me. We're starting a new life together. She loves the lie you told her, just like I love the lie you told me." Remy pulled out a small digital recorder and pressed play. Nico's voice filled the barn, a conversation Callan had secretly recorded 2 days earlier. I never loved either of them. They're just collateral to stay hidden. Remy's useful because she's stable, makes me look respectable. Callan's useful because she's desperate and has a kid who needs money. But once I'm established in Colombia, I'll disappear and start fresh. New name, new identity, new women to bankroll my lifestyle. The recording continued for another minute. Nico describing his plans to abandon both families. His dismissive comments about their intelligence. His excitement about the money he'd stolen. When it ended, the barn was silent. That's out of context, Nico said weakly. Is it? Remy showed him her phone screen. Because I also have bank records showing you've been stealing from Callan for 6 months. Medical bills for Beau's heart condition that you refused to help pay. Text messages where you promised to marry her while simultaneously planning your escape. And Lana added, I have recordings of you bragging about your previous cons, including details about Kelly Morrison's suicide that were never made public. Nico looked between them, calculating odds and escape routes. But there was nowhere to run. Denny stood by the door, and the barn had no other exits. What do you want? Nico asked. Everything you stole, Remy said. Bank account numbers, crypto wallet access codes, the combination to the safe in Callan's house. All of it. And if I refuse, then these recordings go to the FBI, along with evidence of mail fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and child abandonment. That's 25 to life in federal prison. Nico was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder, the real man behind all the masks. You'll never feel whole, he said, even if you ruin me, even if you get every penny back. You'll always know you weren't enough to keep me, that I chose other women over you. Remy stepped closer until they were inches apart. I'm not trying to feel whole. I'm making sure you never do again. She pulled out cable ties the kind hospitals used to secure patients. Lana helped me with his hands. Wait, Nico said. Wait, we can work something out. I'll give you half the money. We'll call it even. We're past negotiations. They zip-tied his hands behind his back and secured him to a chair. Nico's briefcase sat on the table, locked with a combination padlock. Open it, Remy said. Go to hell. Lana picked up a crowbar from Denny's tool rack. Open it, or I will. Nico gave them the combination. Inside were 3 cryptocurrency hardware wallets, a notebook with access codes, and $40,000 in cash. Where's the rest? Remy asked. What rest? Callan saw 80,000 in your safe. This is only 40. The safe was mostly fake bills. Newspaper with real money on top and bottom. Nico's voice was bitter. Stage dressing to make Callan think I was richer than I am. So this is everything. Except for what's already in offshore accounts. About 480,000 total. Remy copied down account numbers and access codes. While she worked, Lana called someone who specialized in cryptocurrency recovery. Within an hour, every stolen dollar was being transferred to a trust fund in June and Beau's names. There, Remy said, closing the notebook. Both children will have college funds and medical money. Callan gets her surgery savings back with interest. What about you? Nico asked. I get the satisfaction of watching you lose everything. She pulled out her phone and called 911. I'd like to report an attempted kidnapping, she said. A man tried to force me and my daughter to leave the country illegally. Nico's eyes widened. You can't, that's not what happened. Isn't it? You stole our documents, cleaned out our accounts, tried to disappear with a minor child without the mother's consent. Remy smiled coldly. That's kidnapping, fraud, and child endangerment. Have fun explaining it to a jury. She hung up and walked toward the door. Remy, wait. Nico's voice cracked. Please, I made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt you or June. She turned back to look at him one last time. Tied to a chair, surrounded by evidence of his crimes, finally powerless. It wasn't enough to undo 12 years of lies, but it was a start. The only mistake you made, she said, was thinking we'd never fight back. 6 months later, Remy stood in the kitchen of her new house in Bend, Oregon. Snow dusted the Cascade Mountains visible through the window, and the morning air smelled like pine trees and fresh starts. Her name was Rachel Thompson now, according to carefully forged documents Lana had provided. June was Emma Thompson, a 7-year-old who attended Bend Elementary and took horseback riding lessons on weekends. The house was small but comfortable, bought with cash from the recovered funds after Beau's surgery and Callan's restitution. Remy worked at the local hospital as a registered nurse. Her paramedic experience translated well, and Oregon was desperate for medical professionals. Mom, Beau's here. June called from the living room. Callan's car pulled into the driveway. She'd moved to Bend 2 months ago with a job at the regional medical center. Beau's surgery had been successful, and his heart murmur was completely corrected. The little boy who stepped out of the car was healthy and energetic, a far cry from the pale child who'd gotten tired after running across a room. Miss Rachel. Beau ran toward the house, still calling Remy by her new name even though he knew the truth. June met him at the door, and they immediately started planning their day. How are you settling in? Remy asked Callan. Better every day. The pharmacy job pays well, and Beau loves his new school. Callan looked tired but peaceful. Any word from Lana? She called last week. The rehab shelter in Montana is almost finished. Says she's never been happier. Lana had used her share of the recovered money to buy property near Glacier National Park. The shelter would help women escaping domestic violence and financial abuse. Poetic justice, she'd called it. What about Nico? Callan asked quietly. 25 years, federal prison. No possibility of parole for 15. Remy felt nothing when she said it. No satisfaction, no regret. Just facts about a man who'd once been important but now was simply gone. The kids ran through the kitchen toward the backyard, laughing about something only they understood. They'd become genuine siblings, not just DNA matches. June helped Beau with his homework, and he taught her card games their father had never had patience for. Do you ever miss him? Callan asked. Any part of the life you had before? Remy considered this. I miss thinking I was safe. I miss believing in the fairy tale. But I don't miss him. Not even a little. Missing requires love and forgiveness. I ran out of both. Through the window, she watched June push Beau on the swing set Denny had helped install during his visit last month. Normal kids doing normal things. Safe and protected and innocent of their father's crimes. That evening, after Callan and Beau went home, Remy sat on her front porch with a cup of coffee. June was inside, reading before bed, probably absorbed in another mystery novel. She'd developed a taste for stories where smart people solved impossible puzzles. Remy's phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Saw the news about end sentencing. How are you feeling? She typed back, free. The mountains glowed pink in the sunset, and somewhere in the distance, a train whistle echoed across the valley. Remy had never heard that sound in Seattle. It was lonesome, but not sad. Just proof that things kept moving, carrying people toward new destinations and better lives. June appeared in the doorway wearing pajamas and clutching elephant. Mom, are we safe here? Yes, baby. We're safe. Forever. Forever. June climbed onto Remy's lap, even though she was getting too big for it. They sat together, watching stars appear in the darkening sky. No one was chasing them anymore. No one was lying to them or stealing from them or planning to abandon them. They were exactly where they belonged.